That night was supposed to be the perfect victory for Cale Thornton. The Mafia boss had rebuilt his empire, reclaimed his power, and now stood in the middle of a glittering engagement party surrounded by money, loyalty, and fear. But in a single moment, everything cracked. From behind a half-open service door, the woman who had vanished from his life 8 months earlier suddenly stepped back into view. Meadow, pale, exhausted, carrying secrets in her eyes, and beneath her waitress uniform, a pregnancy far too advanced to ignore. And under the golden lights of the ballroom, Cale realized something terrifying. A man can rebuild an empire from blood and ashes, and still lose the only person who ever made him feel human.
Guys, check this out! Emily's watching the fallout in real time as the room turns into a shark tank. The question isn't if, it's when someone pounces on the legendary Adrian Volkov after this public roast. She's thinking it's time to ghost, because this drama between the groom and his runaway bride is way above her pay grade. But she can't look away. It's like a high-speed wreck in slow motion. Suddenly, Adrian looks up and locks eyes right on her. Talk about a jump scare. She's worked with this guy for weeks, knowing he runs his wedding planning with the same brutal energy he uses to crush rivals. This time, she's the sole target of his laser focus. No vulnerability here, guys. Just a cold-blooded assessment. He gives her the signal and her feet move before her brain even processes the danger. She's crossing that floor, clutching her clipboard like a bulletproof vest while every pair of eyes in the room tracks her. She reaches the altar and Adrian's face is basically carved from stone. He asks for her name and she stammers out Emily Carter, reminding him she's just the help. But he's not playing games. He hits her with the ultimate curveball. Are you married? It's so wild she almost laughs in his face. No husband, no fiancé, not even a boyfriend. She's totally clueless about his endgame, but her pulse is going absolute Mach 10. Adrian's gaze just sweeps over her once, checking her out and making a decision in the blink of an eye. Professional bun. Plain blouse. Nothing to see here, which is exactly why she's perfect. Then he drops the bomb. How much does she make? When she says $60,000, he counters with a massive $5 million. The catch? She has to marry him right now, on the spot. Right here, right now, in front of this entire crowd. Emily's brain basically short circuits. Adrian is dead serious. $5 million, no taxes, wired to whatever account she wants. It's the ultimate trade-off for the ultimate scandal. He tells her all she needs to do is throw on a dress and say 2 simple words. Is he joking? Not a chance. He looks like a guy who just watched his life blow up and is now using cold, hard logic to keep from drowning. She tries to back out, but he's not having it. In 5 minutes, he's going to be the guy publicly dumped, and that means his street cred vanishes. If he looks like a victim, every enemy he's ever crossed is going to come for his head. Loyalties will shift and partners will bail the second they smell blood. He's gripping that wheelchair like it's a throne. He can survive the injury, but he can't survive the world, thinking he's not worth the effort now that he's in this chair. That hit of bitterness is the first time he shows a crack, and it tugs at Emily's heart. She knows that feeling too well. Growing up as the invisible middle child who never stood out enough to actually be seen by her own family. She's been the background extra her entire life, reliable, competent, but totally forgettable. She spends her days crafting perfect moments for other people and her nights in a silent apartment where nobody even knows she's home. But now he's offering $5 million to thrust her into the biggest spotlight imaginable. She warns him that everyone will see through the... Adrian didn't even flinch. He explained that this wasn't about selling a fake romance. It was about pure damage control. He needed to prove to his enemies that he's untouchable and can pivot instantly when things go south. Why marry his own wedding planner? Simple. She's a total outsider with zero motive to double-cross him for power. He leaned in, dropping some cold, hard facts. He picked her specifically because she's a nobody with no ties to his rivals or his messy business politics. To him, she's just a clean slate he can manipulate to fix his image. It was a brutal ego check, but honestly, Emily was too stunned to even feel the insult. Look, Emily had spent her entire life being invisible to the elite, so at least this guy was keeping it 100 with her. Plus, he was actually offering a massive payout. When she asked about the endgame, Adrian laid it out. They play house, attend the fancy galas, and maintain the perfect facade. The contract is strictly 12 months. After a year, they get a quiet divorce. She keeps the cash, and he keeps his empire stable. When she asked what happens if she walks away, Adrian actually smirked. He told her she could go right back to her boring job making $75 an hour while he found another option. But he knew she wouldn't leave. He could see her already doing the math on that $5 million bag. That kind of money means total freedom and an escape from her dead-end life. Adrian called her bluff, and Emily knew he was right. The massive bribe was already crushing any sense of hesitation she had left. For 28 years, she had played it safe and followed every single rule only to end up with nothing but mediocre jobs and failed dates. She was tired of being the nice girl that guys just walked over. This deal was absolutely insane and dangerous, which was exactly why she was actually considering it. "Fine," she whispered, "I'm in." Adrian's face stayed like stone, but you could tell he was satisfied that his little power play worked. He immediately turned to his crew, 3 massive dudes who looked like they lived in the gym, who were watching this whole drama go down with major confusion. He called over Marcus, a giant of a man who looked like he could snap a neck with 2 fingers. The boss's order? Go find a wedding dress that fits her and get back here in 10 minutes flat. Marcus didn't even blink. He just grabbed the other 2 goons and sprinted toward the back of the church. Emily stood there in a total daze, realizing she just sold her soul to a mob boss for a life-changing check. Adrian told her to ditch the clipboard because she needed to stop looking like the help and start acting like the bride. Talk about a career change, guys. Her hands were shaking like crazy as she dropped her notes. Adrian grabbed her wrist, not to hurt her, but to keep her grounded. He gave her one final rule. In front of the cameras, it's Adrian, not boss. They had to sell this as a real love story, not a business transaction. She could feel the heat where he touched her as the clock started ticking. 10 minutes later, Marcus came back with a basic white dress that probably belonged to a bridesmaid. It was a total rush job, but the clock was running out and they had a wedding to fake. The fit was terrible, tight on top and baggy everywhere else, but the woman in the mirror looked like a complete stranger. She looked haunted, which, fair enough. Her boss Vivian showed up at the door, totally judging her and asking if she was really going through with this madness. Vivian warned her that she was just a tool for Adrian, but Emily didn't care. She looked her friend in the eye and kept it real. For $5 million, she'd wear whatever he wanted and say whatever he needed to hear. The bag was officially secured. No flowers, no romantic music, just 200 criminals staring her down as she walked toward the altar. Her heart was pounding so loud she could barely hear herself think. Meanwhile, Adrian just sat there looking cool and collected, like he hadn't just lost his original bride an hour ago. Emily finally steps up, and the boss just reaches out. She takes his hand, and guys, he is way too calm for a killer. It is actually terrifying. The priest looks ready to complain, but one death stare from Adrian shuts him down instantly. "Start!" Adrian snaps. Boom! Wedding finished in record time. No fluff, just pure efficiency. No vows, strictly business. Adrian speed ran the ceremony, cold-blooded. Marriage announced. Like it or leave. Adrian's total power move. Savage. Silence. Adrian ditches Emily for the reception. She's surrounded by killers. New name, Mrs. Volkov. Emily chases Adrian, seeing a rare human moment. Adrian shuts down, orders isolation, lockdown starts, zero honeymoon vibes. The fake backstory is live. Nobody believes. Everyone's too scared. No refunds. Adrian's parting shot. Try not to die. Real charming. Mansion or bunker? Bulletproof glass is standard in this fortress. $5 million for 5 minutes. Marcus calls her ma'am. Painful. Gilded cage, a mile-long hallway leads to her lonely room. Transformation time. Irina's coming to prep the new social trophy. Designer gear versus thrift bags. Her old life is officially buried. Separate wings, no honeymoon, just a cold contract and massive distance. Boss doesn't do closeness. Emily sits alone, regretting her choices. $5 million, 12 months, the price tag for freedom. 12 months acting for killers, faking fine for a paycheck. Irina takes charge. No requests. The social battle begins now. Look like a queen or get shredded. Your dress is armor. From mistake to mob royalty, appearances keep you alive here. Midnight blue elegance. Emily's transformation is complete. She's a weapon. Mirror stranger, a platinum ring with a massive diamond, trap set. Adrian's ring is on. Perfect fit. The man thinks of everything. 200 killers go silent. Emily enters the social lion's den. Adrian's verdict, acceptable. The king is watching. Matching rings, zero romance. Rules, smile and shut up. Be the most boring mystery woman. Interrogation dinner begins. Adrian says she'll need energy for the wolves. Lies feel real, then Julia appears. Red dress, sharp smile, total danger. Julia's congrats is a threat. Dissecting the new bride, peak drama. Julia mocks the bride, teasing dark mob secrets. Julia drops X drama. Adrian's wheelchair grip goes nuclear. Emily's lost while Adrian banishes his toxic ex. Julia warns. Adrian demands a staged first dance. Adrian forces a classical dance to fool everyone. He pulls her close, faking a perfect romance. Adrian warns, stay terrified to stay alive tonight. Married for 3 hours amidst 200 criminals. Romance ends. Adrian orders her to be boring. Silence follows as the boss disappears alone. Trapped in a golden cage for 1 year. That $5 million ring is just business. Adrian wants zero intimacy, leaving Emily totally alone. 1 year to survive this cold stranger's house. News of the secret wedding leaks to everyone. Rachel's panicking. Emily's just chasing the bag. Summons to the office via the Stone Cold Maid. Her life's now a scheduled military-style social gala. Contractual performance is mandatory in this high-stakes mob lair. Marcus guards the Don's intimidating dark leather office. Adrian stares her down, looking completely soul-tired. Small talk ends. The boss drops ground rules. $50,000 monthly to maintain the facade. Forbidden zones and major consequences for any leaks. Play the part perfectly or the game ends. Force a smile for cameras because embarrassing the Don isn't an option. Zero physical contact allowed. This is strictly a separate room business deal. Get this. Our happy groom just laid out the rules like he's building a border wall between them. Copy that, she whispers, keeping her cool. But Adrian isn't finished. He slides a stack of legal traps across the desk. Sign these non-disclosure agreements. Everything stays in this house. Talk, and you're sued into poverty. Period. Emily scrolls through the legal jargon. Basically, if she leaks one secret, she loses every cent. Honestly, she needs a lawyer and some serious thinking time. But the I do was already set at the altar. She's locked in. Signing was just making the trap official. Adrian snatches the papers back without a second look. Marcus is your new shadow. He goes everywhere you do. 0 exceptions. I don't need a babysitter, she snaps. You're my wife now, you do. Then, he just dismisses her like an intern. Adrian, is this really the dream? Living like robots? For a split second, his frozen face cracks, showing something raw and broken. Then the ice wall goes right back up. What I want died a long time ago, he says. This works. That's the only thing that matters now. Shut the door behind you. Emily bails before she can say something crazy like, I'm sorry. Adrian made it crystal clear she's just an asset, useful but totally replaceable. She spends the afternoon wandering the massive mansion, basically mapping out the floor plan of her new high-end prison. The place is huge, at least 30 rooms of pure flex. Gyms, libraries, pools, half the stuff she can't even name. The staff move like ghosts, giving her the polite nod, but 0 conversation. Emily feels like a total glitch in the system. Then she accidentally stumbles into the library. Books everywhere, floor to ceiling. This isn't for show, it's a legit collection. Emily checks the shelves. First editions mixed with beat-up paperbacks and classics next to new fiction. No Dewey Decimal System here, just the chaotic library of someone who actually lives for a good story. Those are mine. Emily jumps. Adrian's right there in the doorway, totally silent in that wheelchair. He rolls in like he owns every square inch of the air. Didn't mean to trespass, she stammers. You're not. Legally, all this stuff belongs to you too. Joint assets and all that. He sounds totally annoyed by that fact. He grabs a battered paperback from the shelf. You a reader? When I'm not busy. Well, you're free now. He tosses her Crime and Punishment. The spine is wrecked. Someone's read this like 50 times. Why this one? She asks. Because it's a story about paying for your sins. Seems fitting. Adrian spins his chair around. Lunch is at 1 o'clock sharp. Irina will show you the way. Don't be late. I don't do waiting. He's gone before she can blink. She's just standing there, wondering if that was a vibe or just business. She tries to read, but the words are just blurry. Her brain is stuck on repeat. The rules, the walls, the fake marriage meant to keep them miles apart while looking like goals to the public. It's gonna be a long year. Lunch is a total disaster. Just 2 strangers eating in silence. The silence is so heavy it's practically physical. Is this the daily routine? She asks. Adrian looks up from his phone. Is what? Sitting here pretending to eat together, it's a joke. It's expected. Staff gossip. People talk if we aren't seen together. You'll get used to the act. What if I don't want to? Then it's going to be a miserable 12 months. Adrian finally drops the phone and actually looks at her. What did you expect, Emily? A rom-com, making friends. I expected a basic conversation. Fine. We're talking right now, are you happy? You're just tolerating me. There's a difference. Adrian's jaw goes tight. You want interaction? Great. Let's go. Where'd you grow up? What's the family tea? What do you do for fun besides planning parties? The questions are coming at her like a rapid-fire interrogation. He's proving a point. He's not curious. He's being a jerk. Connecticut, she fires back. Middle class. 2 sisters who actually have their lives together. Parents who think I'm crazy for marrying a stranger. I don't have hobbies. I work. That's it. Sounds lonely. Says the guy in a lonely mansion who bought a wife. She went too hard. She waits for the explosion, but Adrian actually laughs. A real human smile that changes everything for a second. Fair play, he says. Two lonely people playing house. At least we're being real about it. Are we? 'Cause it feels like we're both faking it hard. The smile dies instantly. It has to be fine. There's no plan B. He backs away from the table. Meetings all afternoon. Marcus is taking you shopping. You need a wardrobe that actually looks like billionaire's wife material. I have clothes. You have event planner clothes, not the same. He stops at the door. Emily? You asked what I want. He won't even look at her. I want to stop being a performer every single second. I want to be more than just a guy in a chair and a list of expectations. But wishing doesn't change life. I chose survival. You should try it. He vanishes before she can respond. She's just sitting there in all that expensive emptiness, wondering if he's right. Maybe survival is the only goal left. That thought is darker than the wedding was. Then comes the surreal shopping trip with Marcus, the silent shadow. He takes her to boutiques where one dress costs more than her old annual rent. Salespeople are literally throwing designer gear at her. Marcus doesn't even flinch. He just swipes the card and loads the bags like it's a grocery run. It's a total Pretty Woman moment, but way more awkward. Does he always drop cash like this? She asks. Money isn't real to him, Marcus says. It's just hardware. You're doing a job. He's giving you the tools. My job? You mean the marriage? Yeah. Marcus looks at her through the mirror. I've been with him 8 years, since before the wreck. He seems like an ice king, but he's not. Marcus stops, picking his words. He's not a monster. He's just been burned too many times to play with fire. By Scarlet? By everyone. Marcus hits the private drive. People see the bank account and the power. They don't see the guy. You're the third person to stab him in the back, his parents, his partner, then her. He's got walls for a reason. Emily lets that sink in. 3 massive betrayals. No wonder he treats her like a sleeper agent instead of a wife. I'm not here to hurt him, she whispers. You sure? Marcus locks eyes with her. Because every time you treat this like a prison sentence, you are. Every time you remind him this is just a temporary gig, it stings. He knows it's fake, but hearing it 24/7 probably sucks. That hits her right in the chest. She'd been so busy feeling sorry for herself that she didn't see the man behind the desk. He married her because he was desperate, but he still gave her his home and his life, and she'd been acting like she was on death row. She was making his nightmare even worse. I don't know how to do this, she admits. I don't know what he needs. Then figure it out, Marcus snaps. You signed the papers. Adrian's had enough people let him down. Don't be the next one. That night, Emily's brain won't shut off. She's 3 days in and already failing the mission. Around midnight, she gives up on sleep. The mansion is a graveyard of shadows and marble. She finds herself walking toward the library, just looking for a distraction. The lights are on. Adrian is there by the window, a book in one hand and a glass of whiskey in the other. He looked up as she walked in, his face a complete mystery. Insomnia much? He asked. Something like that, Emily replied, hovering at the entrance. I can bounce if you want the library to yourself. Adrian just pointed to the other seat. Sit, he said. So she did, and they just existed in the silence together. It should have been incredibly awkward, but for some reason it wasn't. Maybe the darkness let them finally drop the masks they wore all day. Marcus thinks I'm destroying you, Emily whispered, by pretending this is only for now. Adrian's face stayed stone cold. That guy talks way too much. Is he wrong, though? Does it even count? Adrian just shut his book. Look, you are temporary, and we both know the deal. Playing pretend just makes the exit more painful. But Emily wasn't having it. What if I stopped counting down the days? What if I actually lived here instead of just surviving until the contract ends? Adrian asked. Why she'd bother? Because I'm over being a ghost, she said, and maybe you're over being alone. This whole setup doesn't have to be a total nightmare for us. Adrian gave her a long, hard look. What's the pitch? I don't know, she admitted, just trying. Being real roommates instead of total strangers. Talking about more than just the schedule. I'm stuck here for 1 year regardless of how we feel about it. We might as well make it tolerable. Tolerable, Adrian echoed. That is one low bar. Well, it fits our starting point, she joked. A flicker of something like a smile crossed his face. You are definitely a strange one. Most people would be angling for a payout or some leverage, but you're asking for basic humanity. Friends might be a stretch, but let's try being human. Adrian grabbed his glass and took a slow drink. Fine. We can aim for tolerable, but don't go looking for miracles, Emily. I'm trash at this. At what? She asked. Letting people in. Yeah, I noticed, she replied, standing up. I'm heading to bed. Thanks for not booting me out. It's your library too, technically, Adrian said as she reached the door. Emily? She stopped. Yeah? Thank you for putting in the effort. Most people wouldn't even try. His voice went quiet, almost vulnerable for a second. I know this isn't what you signed up for. Neither of us did, she said. But we're here now, so let's make it work. She disappeared before he could say another word, heading upstairs with Marcus's warning on repeat. Do not be just another person who lets him down. Maybe she wasn't the answer to his problems, and maybe this whole mission was cursed from day one. But she could at least be a decent person. She could try to make this 1 year less of a disaster for both of them. It wasn't much, but it beat the alternative. The next few days hit a weird new rhythm. Emily crushed the events Adrian needed her for, playing her part like a pro. She flashed smiles at his partners and chatted up some seriously dangerous people while wearing designer clothes like a suit of armor. In public, they were the ultimate united front, believable enough to shut down the rumors. Behind closed doors, things were actually shifting. Small stuff. Adrian started showing up for breakfast in the dining room instead of hiding in his office. Emily joined him, and they talked about the little things, books, the news, whatever. It was just noise, but it made the mansion feel less like a tomb. They even found a routine for the library at night. Eventually, Adrian would show up with his laptop while she dived into a book. They didn't need to talk, just sharing the space felt like a massive win. Then Thursday arrived way too fast. The big charity gala was happening at one of those old money hotels in Manhattan that practically screams power and influence. Emily spent the whole afternoon being poked and prodded under Arena's watch. Hair, makeup, and a dress that probably cost more than her old car ever did. When she finally walked downstairs, Adrian was waiting in the hall. He'd swapped his usual look for a tuxedo tailored perfectly for his wheelchair. He looked untouchable, dangerous, and like a man who runs the world. You look good, he noted. You sound shocked, she teased. I'm always shocked by competence. It's a rare trait. Adrian headed for the car where Marcus was waiting. You ready? Define ready. I'm willing to spend 4 hours faking a romance while New York's worst people pretend to care about charity. Emily actually laughed. When you put it that way, I can't wait. The gala was exactly what he promised. 500 people in black tie, drinking champagne that cost more than a month's rent. They were writing checks they'd forget about by morning. Emily stayed right by Adrian's side, But she started picking up on the vibes. People didn't look at him with respect. It was pure fear. Conversations died the second he got close. Everyone was doing this careful dance around him. Adrian was the powerhouse, sure, but he was also completely isolated. "You're quiet," Adrian noted, "just taking it all in. And these people are absolutely terrified of you." Adrian's face didn't budge. "Good. Fear is a useful tool. Is it, though?" Emily turned to him. "Because from where I'm standing, it just looks incredibly lonely." Before he could fire back, a silver-haired guy in an expensive suit approached them with a fake smile. "Adrian," he said, "I was hoping to catch you. We need to talk about that waterfront deal." "Not now, Vincent. I think right now is perfect." Vincent's eyes flicked to Emily with total disrespect. "Unless your new wife is part of the inner circle now. I didn't realize you were bringing civilians into the business talk." He treated her like she was just a piece of jewelry. "Emily is my wife," Adrian said in a dangerously quiet voice. "That means she is family, not a civilian. If you ever disrespect her like that again, there won't be any more discussions, business or otherwise. Are we clear?" Vincent's smile died instantly. "Of course. My apologies, Mrs. Volkoff." He scrambled away, leaving Emily stunned by the defense. "You didn't have to go that hard," she said. "Yes, I did," Adrian replied flatly. "You're mine now, and that carries weight. People need to know that insulting you is the same as insulting me." "I'm yours," Emily repeated. "That's a pretty weird way to say it. It's the truth. It makes me sound like a piece of property." Adrian's jaw tightened. "That isn't what I meant at all." "Well, then what did you mean?" He didn't answer, just turned his chair toward the exit. "I need some fresh air. Follow me." They found a balcony with a view of the entire city. Manhattan was laid out below them, a sea of lights stretching forever. Adrian stopped at the railing, just staring. Emily waited for him to speak. "I'm not great with words," Adrian finally admitted. "I say things the wrong way and make them sound colder than I intended. But when I said you're mine, I meant—" He stopped, looking frustrated. "I meant you're under my wing. You matter. I won't let anyone treat you like trash just because you're temporary." Emily felt a weird tug in her chest. "Thank you. Don't thank me. It's just logistics. If people think they can walk over you, my reputation takes a hit." "Right, logistics." Emily leaned on the railing. "You know, you could just admit you were being a decent human without making it a strategy." "I could, but I won't. Because that would mean admitting you care." "I don't care," Adrian snapped back too quickly. "I'm just maintaining the image." "Sure you are." Emily turned to face him fully. "Adrian, it's okay if this is becoming more than a deal. It doesn't make you weak." "Yes, it does." His voice was like stone. "Every time I've cared, it's been used against me. So I stopped. And I'm not starting again just because you decided we're friends." Those words stung way more than Emily expected. She thought they were actually getting somewhere, but Adrian just reminded her exactly where they stood. They were on opposite sides of a deal that would end the second it stopped being useful. "Message received," Emily said softly. "I'll remember my place." She walked back inside before he could say a word. She spent the rest of the night smiling and nodding, playing her part while her heart felt like ice. This was a total mistake. Trying to connect with Adrian was a fail. Marcus was dead wrong. She wasn't hurting Adrian by staying distant. She was protecting herself from a man who made it clear he wanted nothing real. The ride home was pure silence. Adrian watched the window, and so did she. When they got to the mansion, she made a beeline for the stairs without even saying goodnight. She was halfway up when Adrian called out, "Emily, wait!" She stopped but didn't turn around. "I'm sorry," he said. "That came out all wrong. I didn't mean," he let out a rough breath. "I don't know how to do any of this. You're trying to fix things, and I just keep pushing you away because it's the only move I have left." Emily turned slowly. Adrian was at the bottom of the stairs, looking up at her with a look that was finally, painfully honest. "I'm terrified," he admitted. "Terrified of letting you matter. Because when you leave, it's going to destroy me, and I don't think I can survive that a second time. So I keep you at a distance and say things I don't mean. I'm sorry. You deserve better than that." Emily walked back down and sat on the step right next to him so they were eye to eye. "I'm scared too," she whispered. "Scared of being someone you just tolerate instead of someone you chose. Scared of being invisible in your life for a whole year." Imagine walking away with bags of cash but a totally empty soul. They're both low-key, terrified of the same nightmare, that this fake marriage might actually turn real because real things can leave permanent scars. Adrian goes silent for a beat before reaching out and gripping her hand. His palm is warm and surprisingly steady. He just whispers, "Bearable." Talk about a mood. That's the deal. No fairy tales, no fake vibes, just something they can actually survive together. Emily squeezes back, agreeing that together sounds like a solid plan. They're just vibing at the bottom of a staircase in a mansion that suddenly feels a little less like a haunted tomb. It's not a romance or even a friendship yet, but it's a start. It's a crack in Adrian's icy exterior and a reason for Emily to do more than just survive. Bearable is the new goal, and honestly, it's working. The energy between them starts shifting. Adrian begins asking for her take on the most random stuff that doesn't even affect the bottom line. He's asking about dinner orders, library lighting, and if his high-tech security is just doing too much. It's like he actually values her input now. Emily stops treating the place like a prison and starts making it a home. She even starts rearranging his chaotic library by genre because his old system was a total disaster. She's out here placing fresh flowers in the dining room just to kill the sterile museum energy. Adrian doesn't say a word, but he doesn't stop her either. 2 weeks later, the peace is shattered by screaming. Emily throws on a robe and sprints toward Adrian's private wing, the ultimate do not enter zone. The gym door is wide open, and inside, Adrian is struggling on the parallel bars while his wheelchair sits empty like a hater. He gets halfway up before his strength hits zero and he crashes onto the mat. The sound of that impact is brutal. Adrian's voice is just pure, raw frustration as he curses the world. He tries again, barely getting 3 inches higher before hitting the floor again. Emily should have bailed and respected the privacy, but she walks right in. She asks how long he's been at it, and Adrian's head snaps up. He's red-faced, sweating, and looking like a mix of pure rage and total humiliation. He tells her to get lost, but she's not budging. She rolls his chair closer while he's punching the mat in fury. He screams that he doesn't need an audience for his struggle, but Emily calls him out. She knows he's been grinding for hours and warns him that he's about to break himself. She parks the chair right next to him and offers a hand, but his pride is still at 100%. He claims he doesn't need anyone's help and tries to prove it. He grabs those bars with everything he's got, getting a foot off the ground before his arms start vibrating like a phone on silent. He holds it for 5 seconds before gravity reminds him who's boss. He falls even harder this time, making a sound that's more like something shattering inside him than a scream. Emily kneels down, but he hides his face, begging her not to look at him like he's some pathetic charity case. He's devastated because it shouldn't be this hard. It's been 2 years, and he still can't stand. His jaw is clenched so tight his teeth might pop. This guy used to run, bite, and dominate every room he walked into. Now he's trapped, unable to even walk across his own floor. Emily tells him to stop trying to resurrect a ghost and start figuring out who he is right now. The old Adrian is gone, but the guy in the chair is still a powerhouse running an empire. That's not a weakness, guys. It's called adaptation. She holds his gaze, forcing him to see the truth. She admits she doesn't know his physical pain, but she knows the hell of being forced into a role you don't fit anymore. She sits right at the mat with him and drops some heavy truth about her past. After her dad passed, her mom kept setting his place at the table for 6 months like a total denial move. Emily spent years trying to be the perfect, successful daughter her dad wanted, even though it wasn't her. She hated herself for it until she finally let go. She tells Adrian that the ghost of who you should be is the toughest villain you'll ever have to fight. Adrian finally goes quiet. He's actually shocked to hear about her dad. Heart attack, age 23, right at her sister's wedding. Talk about a trauma dump. Emily realized she was living for a dead man's approval instead of her own life. She tells him straight up, she gets exactly what he's going through. Competing with your past self is a losing game. Adrian actually apologizes, not just for her loss, but for all the people who made her feel small. He looks at her with this unreadable expression, then finally does the unthinkable. He holds out his hand and asks for a lift. Emily helps him back into his seat, and the tension is real. His weight is solid, and their hands linger just a second too long before he pulls away. He drops a quiet "thank you," admitting that most people would have turned tail and run the moment things got messy. He stops at the door and asks the million-dollar question. How do you actually let go of the past? Emily tells him it's not some big cinematic moment, it's just a daily grind. You stop measuring yourself against a ghost and start building from where you're actually standing, one day at a time. It's about choosing the now over the then until it's automatic. Adrian admits his physical therapy is a slow-motion nightmare, so Emily offers to be his workout buddy. She wants to be there because fighting your own body alone is the opposite of bearable. He asks why, and she reminds him of their bearable pact. Plus, she's nosy and wants to see what a crime boss's workout looks like. Adrian almost cracks a smile, warning her it's mostly just pain and embarrassment, but he gives her the green light to come along. There's this heavy moment of recognition between them. Two people tired of pretending they're fine. Adrian says he needs a shower because he smells like failure and sweat, but Emily corrects him. He smells like hard work and pure stubbornness. There's a massive difference between those two vibes. One is a total L, the other is just being human. Adrian heads out, but his shoulders look way less tense. Emily stays in the gym for a bit, looking at the gear and the receipts of how hard this man has been pushing himself when the cameras are off. She totally gets his drive. She finds him later in the library with a whiskey and his laptop. He's still stuck in apology mode, saying she shouldn't have seen him in such a weak state. He's so used to being the untouchable Don that showing any crack in the armor feels like a defeat. Emily isn't having it. She tells him she'd rather see him real than perfect. Adrian calls her strange, and she corrects him with Emily Volkov without even thinking about it. The silence that hits the room is sharp enough to cut glass. She tries to play it off as just a legal thing, but the air is thick. Adrian's eyes flicker with something secret. He tells her she doesn't have to use his name, but he wants her to do whatever makes this whole situation bearable. He's giving her total control over the vibe. Emily drops the book and goes for the throat with an honest question. What does he actually want from this year? Not the money or the contract, but deep down. Adrian leans back and admits he just doesn't want to be a lonely ghost in his own mansion. He wants someone who doesn't see him as a monster or a tragic headline. He wants real talk, not just business strategy. He wants what she offered, something close to normal. Emily tells him normal is totally overrated, but she can definitely do close to it. They're already doing it, right here, sitting in a room and actually talking like people instead of actors following a script. Emily tucks her knees up, admitting she actually likes this. She likes sitting with a guy who reads heavy literature and fights parallel bars. She's finally seeing the man behind the myth. Look, the paycheck is the boring part. Adrian dodges her gaze, claiming things are getting messy. How? Simple. She's making him crave things that aren't on the menu. His voice drops an octave as he admits her kindness is wrecking his defenses and making him forget this whole deal is just a countdown. Emily's pulse is officially entering a drag race. What if we stop the clock? Don't! Adrian snaps, shutting that down faster than a security breach. He warns her not to hallucinate a romance here. He's convinced she's just mixing up gratitude with actual feelings or just plain bored. He drops the hammer. This isn't real, so she needs to stop playing make-believe. Those words, total emotional damage. Emily stands up, basically hugging herself for protection. Fine, she gets it. She forgot her place in the hierarchy. Adrian tries to walk it back, but she's already at the exit. She reminds him he set the cold-blooded business rules, and she'll make sure to stick to the script. She hits her room just before the waterworks start, feeling like a total clown for crying. She tells herself she has zero right to be upset. Adrian was a straight shooter from day one about this contract, while she was the one caught in a daydream. For 3 days, she goes full ghost mode, dodging him at every turn. She hides in her room and skips the library, only showing up for the mandatory PR stunts. Adrian? He stays in his lane and doesn't chase. He doesn't ask questions. He just lets the ice age settle in between them. On day 4, the right-hand man, Marcus, bangs on her door with a summons. The boss wants her in the office, and he wants her there yesterday. Emily thinks about ghosting him again, but she's tired of the childish games. It's time to face the music. She follows Marcus down, bracing for a lecture from the big man himself. Adrian's buried in his screen when she walks in and tells her to sit without even looking up. Finally, he turns around and drops a bomb. He's been acting like a total tool. Emily asks if that's an apology, but he just calls it a statement of fact. Then comes the real shocker. He actually apologizes. He's sorry for the library drama and for pushing her away when she was just trying to be human. He stops, jaw tight, admitting that her being there has turned into something way bigger than a transaction. Emily's heart skips a beat. Bigger than what? More than just business and convenience, he confesses. 1 month in, and she's already flipped the script, making this mausoleum feel like a home and making him feel less. Well, he can't even finish the sentence. He's struggling because the lone wolf thing is his only setting. Adrian finally admits he's been lonely for so long, he forgot what the alternative felt like until she started treating him like a person instead of fragile glass. He actually remembers what it's like to want someone around and to care if they're hurting. He stares her down, admitting that her avoiding him is terrifying because caring gives her the power to destroy him. Emily says she'd never do that, but he knows better. Eventually, the clock runs out, and he's feeling like an idiot for forgetting this is all temporary. Adrian rolls closer, looking tired. He's done wasting the next 11 months pushing her away just because he's scared of month 12. He's asking for a total reset? Can they go back to being bearable, or maybe aim for something a level up? Emily feels the tension snap. What's better than bearable? He's not sure, tolerable, maybe even pleasant. He's winging it. Emily suggests they try being actual friends, not just roommates who trade logistics. Adrian repeats the word like he's testing a new weapon. He's down to try, but there's a catch. They have to actually talk about real stuff. About what? Anything normal. No more business talk, just the raw details of their lives. She wants to know the deep stuff. His books, his past, and why he's got a personal vendetta against mushrooms that results in them being banned from every plate. Adrian's stunned, she even noticed. I pay attention, she says, leaning in. She wants the real man, not the mob boss reputation or the business legend, just him. Why? Because he's a complicated puzzle she wants to solve. She asks if that's against the rules, and Adrian quietly admits the rules are officially in the trash. The old plan wasn't working anyway. So it's a deal. Friends, real talk, and no more secrets. They're diving into the deep end together. Emily flashes a smile, and Adrian's face goes soft in a way that's almost tender. He mentions his physical therapy at 2 o'clock the next day if she's still down to go. She is. He warns her it's going to be a disaster. Lots of struggling and swearing. Emily's fine with that. She likes him better when he's being honest about the grind. Relief washes over him. Fine then. Friends who watch each other fail. It's a depressing enough deal to feel real. Emily agrees they're a complete wreck, but at least they're being honest about the mess. The therapy session is brutal. Emily watches from the corner as James, the trainer, puts Adrian through an absolute gauntlet of pain. We're talking leg lifts that barely move and resistance work that leaves his hands shaking like a leaf. He's falling on the mat over and over, but he doesn't tap out. He's swearing and frustrated, sure, but he refuses to quit. Every time he hits the floor, James just says, again, and Adrian gets right back to the grind. The ride home is dead silent, and Emily gives him space to process. Finally, he thanks her for showing up. She thanks him for the invite. He asks if seeing him that week bothered her, but she tells him it's the opposite. She respects him way more now. Most people would have folded, but he's out here fighting for every inch of progress. That's not weakness. That's pure grit. Adrian admits it feels like weakness, but she reminds him that feelings aren't facts. He almost smiles, noting she sounds just like his trainer. They fall into a solid routine after that. Therapy twice a week, breakfast together, and late-night library sessions where they just talk until midnight about everything. Adrian opens up about his nightmare parents who valued power over people and ditched him the second he wasn't useful after the accident. He's been surrounded by sharks his whole life. Emily counters with her own story of being the invisible middle child, the one who never quite managed to keep anyone's attention for long. He talks about the vultures who tried to snatch his business while he was in the hospital and the girl who traded forever for humiliation. Emily talks about the sting of being great at her job but totally forgettable in her personal life. You're not forgettable, Adrian says one night, the rain hammering the library windows while he sips his whiskey. She thinks he's just being nice, but he shuts that down fast. It's not nice, it's the truth. He tells her she's the kind of person who sneaks up on people. At first glance, she might not demand the spotlight, but the second she starts talking, she's the only person in the room who actually matters. He sees that she notices everything others miss. She's got this perfect balance of being kind but not a pushover, strong but not heartless. Anyone who didn't see that simply wasn't looking. Emily's throat goes tight, but Adrian isn't finished. He reminds her he once said he just wanted this year to be bearable, but that was a total lie. Maybe it was true at the start, but things have shifted. He looks her in the eye and drops the ultimate plot twist. He wants her to stay. She reminds him she's got 11 months left, but he shakes his head. He doesn't mean the contract. He wants her to stay for good, even after the clock hits 0. His hands are gripping his chair so hard his knuckles are white. He knows this wasn't the original deal, and she signed up for a payout. But she's become the highlight of his entire day. The thought of her walking away makes him feel like he's losing a limb he didn't even know he needed. Emily's struggling to breathe. He's basically saying this is real. It's already real for me, he admits, even though he swore he'd never let anyone in again. He's asking if there's any world where she'd stay. Not for the cash or the contract, but because she actually wants him. Emily's heart is pounding so hard it's practically breaking ribs. She's spent 6 weeks trying to keep her distance while falling head over heels anyway. She's been reminding herself this is temporary while praying it isn't. I don't know, she admits, and Adrian just nods. He asks if that's the final answer, turning his chair to the window. He's not used to wanting things he can't control. He respects the honesty, even if it's not the yes he was hunting for. Emily stands up and walks over to him as he stares out at the rain. She places a hand on his shoulder, feeling every bit of tension radiating through him. The air is thick enough to cut with a knife. Will she stay or will she walk? Give me 6 months, she whispers. Adrian is like, why the wait? And Emily drops the ultimate truth bomb. She doesn't know if she actually loves him or just likes being seen for the first time. She refuses to fake it and lead him on, squeezing his shoulder to soften the blow. Talk about keeping it 100% real. Emily promises that in 6 months she'll have her answer. No more guessing. Adrian asks if he's even got a choice here, and she tells him he can ditch her right now for someone who isn't a total mess. But Adrian isn't folding. He wants the honest, confused version of her. Total simp energy, but we're here for it. So the 6-month timer starts now. Emily suddenly leans in and plants a forehead kiss on him, leaving Adrian completely paralyzed. He's like, what was that? And she plays it off as just friendship. Adrian's confused because he's never actually had a real friend in his entire life. Bro needs a manual for this. Emily bails before things get even more awkward. Adrian stops her just to say thanks for the honesty. No lies, no mind games, just the raw truth. It's a rare soft moment for the stone-cold boss, and Emily vanishes into the hallway before the vibe gets too heavy to handle. The tension is literally insane. She's upstairs, and her pulse is redlining. She gave herself 6 months to figure out her feelings. But let's be real, she's already crossed the point of no return. Standing in that hallway, Emily starts to realize that she doesn't actually need 6 months. She's already deep in her feelings, and she knows it. It's official. She's falling for the big boss, Adrian Volkov. This is either the best thing ever or a total disaster. That 6-month deadline is lurking in the background like a storm cloud they can't ignore. Suddenly, Emily isn't counting days. She's counting the heart-stopping moments that make her chest feel tight. Every laugh, every accidental touch, every lingering look from Adrian makes it harder to stay objective. 3 months fly by, and Emily's still acting like she doesn't have the answer. Or maybe she's just terrified to admit it. They're halfway through breakfast when Marcus appears looking like he's seen a ghost. Cue the drama. Boss, we've got a major situation, Marcus says. Adrian's coffee hits the table. The problem is a redhead with a massive vendetta. Scarlett is at the gate and she's demanding a face-to-face. Emily's stomach literally drops through the floor. Adrian tries to play it cold and tells Marcus to kick her out. Scarlett isn't taking no for an answer, and Adrian's ready to call the cops. Emily suggests hearing her out, but Adrian is white-knuckling his coffee cup. He knows this woman is just here to start a fire and watch it burn. Emily tells him it's better to deal with the chaos now before she makes a scene. Adrian caves but insists Emily stays right there. He knows Scarlett's playbook. She's going to try to weaponize Emily against him. He wants the truth to come straight from the source, not some twisted version later. Time for a high-stakes showdown in the office. This is about to get toxic, guys. Scarlett Hayes walks in looking like a straight-up movie star in a red dress. She's acting like she still holds the keys to the castle, casually browsing his office with peak entitlement. She's definitely not here for a friendly chat. She turns around with a smile sharp enough to cut glass. Get ready! Scarlett opens with a savage roast about Adrian's wheelchair and then turns her venom on Emily. She calls her the budget replacement, just an event planner who got a lucky promotion. The shade is absolutely unreal. Adrian gives her exactly 5 minutes to state her business before he throws her out. Adrian reminds her she's an ex, but Scarlett claims they never officially called off the engagement. She tells Emily that Adrian only married her out of pure spite. Imagine being the spite wife. Major yikes. Scarlett's out here trying to wreck their whole dynamic with just a few words. Adrian calls it necessity, not spite, but Scarlett's got a bomb to drop. She asks Emily if she knows the real reason the wedding got canceled. She's ready to expose Adrian's dark side. Adrian tells her to shut it, but Scarlett's just getting started. She wants Emily to know exactly who she married. Scarlett claims Adrian went full villain mode the night before the wedding, threatening to burn her family's business to the ground if she ever left. According to her, he claimed he literally owned her. Emily is looking at Adrian like, is this the man I'm falling for? The betrayal feels real. Adrian admits he played hardball. He told her there were consequences for breaking her contract with his organization, but he denies the ownership talk. He's white-knuckling his wheelchair, and Emily's caught in the middle of a he said, she said nightmare. Who do you even believe at this point? Scarlett doubles down, but Adrian flips the script. He reminds her she wasn't some innocent victim. She was a clout chaser who pursued him. The second he had his accident and became less useful to her ambitions, she tried to bail. Adrian just reminded her that mob contracts don't have exit clauses. He calls himself a businessman who hates being used. Then, he demands to know why she's really here. He knows this isn't about history, it's about a play she's making right now. Scarlett drops the act and shifts into full calculation mode. Here comes the real motive. Scarlett wants her payday. She's demanding the money she was promised in their original marriage contract. $2 million upfront and $3 million later. Adrian actually laughs in her face. He's not paying for a wedding that never happened, but Scarlett says he owes her for the humiliation of being replaced by a nobody. Scarlett is fuming because her reputation is trashed. Everyone is pitying her because Adrian chose a random event planner over her. She wants a massive check as compensation for her social ruin. The entitlement is absolutely off the charts, guys. She really thinks she can just cash out. Adrian gives her a big fat zero. He's not paying for her to humiliate him. But Scarlett's got a trump card. She threatens to leak the truth about the contract marriage to the press. If the world finds out this whole thing is a sham, everything Adrian's built is toast. Emily's heart is literally stopping. Scarlett drops the receipts. She knows about the $5 million deal and the 1-year timeline. She calls Emily a convenient pawn that Adrian grabbed because he was desperate. She's threatening to blow the whistle unless she gets her settlement. This is absolute blackmail, no cap. The silence in the room is suffocating. Emily can feel her pulse racing while Adrian does the math in his head. He's weighing the options: pay her off or let her burn his reputation to the ground. Every second feels like an hour while he decides how much damage she can actually do. Adrian finally folds. Or does he? He agrees to the settlement but lowballs her at $500,000. Take it or leave it. He calls it a generous offer for a blackmailer and tells her to go ahead and call his bluff if she thinks she can win. Total boss move. But here's the kicker. If she talks, Adrian leaks the files on her family's illegal business. We're talking 5 years of shady deals that would put her dad under investigation in 24 hours. Scarlett realizes she's been outplayed and takes the $500,000 deal with a look of pure rage. It's over. Marcus is handling the wire transfer, and Adrian kicks her out of his house for good. Scarlett leaves Emily with one final warning. Good luck, you'll need it. She vanishes in a cloud of expensive perfume, leaving a trail of fury behind her. That was a close call. The door clicks shut and the drama is over, for now. Emily is stunned that he actually paid her off, but Adrian calls it problem solving. He rolls to the window and stares out at nothing, looking like a man with way more secrets than he's letting on. What's he hiding next? Look at this, guys. The boss isn't playing around. He knows this woman has the receipts to burn his empire down. He's acting cold, but secretly, he's just terrified of Emily getting dragged through the mud. Everyone thinks their marriage is a total sham, but he's desperate for that sweet, plausible deniability. Then Emily drops the bomb. He dropped $500,000 just to save her face. Talk about a massive flex. The big boss hits her with that "you belong to me" energy, but Emily isn't having it. She's not a trophy. He backtracks fast, claiming it's just about his duty as her protector. Sure, buddy, we totally believe you. She asks if she's just a job to him, and things get heavy. Adrian finally snaps, admitting he pushes everyone away because his past is basically a graveyard of betrayals. He's convinced she's just a temporary fix. He's got trust issues the size of a skyscraper, parents, partners, you name it, they all stabbed him in the back. He's counting down the 9 months until she walks away just to keep his heart safe. Emily says things have changed, but Adrian gets savage. He tells her she's just lonely and confused, basically accusing her of having Stockholm Syndrome because he's the only guy she sees. Ouch, talk about a reality check. He's gaslighting her feelings, telling her she's only making the best of a bad situation. He thinks she's just terrified of admitting she's trapped in a fake marriage with a broken man. This guy is a professional at self-sabotage. Then he goes for the jugular, telling her she doesn't love him. She just loves the attention and the fancy life. He challenges her to name one thing she actually likes about him that isn't his bank account. Emily's brain completely freezes. She wants to speak, but the words are stuck. Adrian just gives up, looking like a man who's already lost everything. He basically kicks her out of his office. She heads to the library and starts crying her eyes out. Her heart is in literal pieces because she doesn't know if he's right. Is she just playing house in a mansion, or is this real? She can't even name why her heart races for this guy. Maybe she really did just sell a year of her life to be a business expense for a billionaire. The doubt is eating her alive, folks. Hours pass and she won't even go to dinner. But then Marcus shows up at 10 at night with some bad news. The boss has been destroying himself in the gym for 4 hours straight. Marcus thinks the guy is actually trying to end it. Emily rushes there and finds him on bars, pushing his body until it literally breaks. He's drenched in sweat and shaking like a leaf. He says he's going to keep going until he's not useless anymore. He's hitting the mat over and over, trying to prove he's not a failure. It's absolutely brutal to watch. He feels like he failed his ex, and now he's failing Emily. He's stuck in a spiral of self-hatred. Emily sits down and begs him to stop before he permanently breaks himself. He thinks he deserves the pain for dragging her into his messy life. He finally admits he's terrified because he actually cares about her. The cold boss is finally melting, and it's about time. He drops the mask. He only said those mean things to push her away. He confesses he's head over heels for her, and that's his biggest nightmare because everyone he loves leaves him. He knows she's supposed to leave, but he loves her anyway. Emily calls him a total moron before pulling him into a massive kiss. This isn't a gentle peck. This is months of drama finally exploding. She's putting all that unspoken emotion into one move. Adrian is shocked for a second, but then dives right in. When they finally catch their breath, she tells him she couldn't answer him earlier because the list was too long. She loves his fearlessness, his stubbornness, and even the way he reads deep books and tries to act like they don't crush his soul. She loves the real him that he hides from the world. She loves how he protects her without even thinking. She tells him she's not leaving, not for money or a contract, but because she's actually in love. 6 months is too long to wait to say it. Adrian looks like his brain just short-circuited. He pulls her back in for a slow, deep kiss, trying to wrap his head around the fact that she's actually staying for the long haul. He asks if she's really staying, even though he's broken. She tells him he's just different, and she loves that version of him. The tough mafia boss actually starts sobbing in her arms. They stay like that forever. He admits he has no clue how to be a real boyfriend or be vulnerable, but she tells him they have a whole lifetime to figure it out together. Adrian wants everything with her now. She suggests they head to bed, separately, of course, because they need to take things slow. But the boss has other plans for how the night ends. He tells her to shut up and kiss him again. And honestly, it's pure magic. It's the start of something real. They eventually head to their rooms, but not before Adrian spills his guts about his feelings. Emily falls asleep with a huge smile on her face, ignoring her phone. She doesn't care about anything else because she knows the big, scary Adrian Volkov loves her for who she truly is. Next morning, Adrian's already in the dining hall looking totally soft, which honestly catches Emily off guard. He admits he couldn't sleep a wink because he was obsessing over their spicy night together. Same here, girl. They're both standing on business now, staring each other down. Adrian grabs her hand and confirms every word he said was dead serious. Emily's like, all right, let's eat first, then figure out this crazy life as we go. Not the most solid plan, but it's real, and Adrian's actually smiling for once. The kind that hits different. But wait, interrupting the vibe, Marcus walks in and instantly smells the romance. He knows exactly what went down. Adrian tells him to beat it, but Marcus drops the news. The cash cleared and Scarlett is officially canceled. He walks out grinning because he just won $50 betting in their relationship. Adrian's not sweating it, but he asks if she's ready to go public. No more fake business marriage. Everyone's about to find out the Volkov boss is actually in love, and the rumors are about to go wild. Emily's like, let them talk because what they have is authentic and messy. She drops a proper kiss on him, declaring him worth the fight. Adrian pulls her onto his lap, wheelchair and all, 0 cares given. They're just vibing in each other's space when Adrian drops the L-bomb again. He promises to keep saying, I love you, until her ears bleed. Emily's totally here for it, though she says that'll take a while. Emily doubles down on the love, even for his stubborn self. They spend hours planning a real life, trips, books, and even his physical therapy, which is about to get way more awkward now that the feelings are out. Adrian admits James is already suspicious, and Emily's loving the chaos. She tries to head to work, but Adrian's already acting needy, begging her to stay in the library just to be close to him. He wants her around 24/7. So they spend the day working with the doors open, trading coffee breaks and secret kisses like a couple of high schoolers. It's domestic bliss for the Mafia King. This was the goal all along, just being chosen. Adrian, the most complicated man alive, finally tore down every wall for her. It's not a perfect fairy tale, but it's definitely the real deal. They still have 9 months left on the contract, but the game has changed. They're no longer strangers playing parts. They're partners. It's like learning a whole new language for both of them. Look, it's not all sunshine. Adrian still acts like a cold CEO sometimes, forgetting they've crossed the line. But they're both putting in the work. 1 month later, she's officially moving into his wing. He's doing things properly, so she gets the room next door. They share a private lounge where they talk until midnight and crash on the couches in total peace. Talk about a major lifestyle glow-up. This is a far cry from the cash for marriage deal they started with. While she reads, Adrian's just staring at her, finally dropping the act. Then he says he's got something major to tell her. Emily thinks it's bad news, but it's the opposite. Adrian's been grinding in secret with James, and he might actually be able to stand on his own feet soon. Emily's heart is absolutely racing. It's a huge maybe, and walking is still a dream, but standing, that's the goal. But Adrian looks terrified. He's scared of getting everyone's hopes up just to fail and let people down again. He's worried about not being the old Adrian. But Emily shuts that down fast. She tells him he doesn't owe anyone a former version of himself. If they can't handle him now, that's their problem. He asks the big question, does she care if he can't walk? Emily drops the truth. She fell for him exactly as he is. Standing or sitting, he's still her man. Adrian finally pulls her in close. Adrian realizes he's the luckiest guy alive for hiring a random planner out of desperation. He's going full sappy, and Emily's teasing him for it. Then, boom, her sister Rachel starts blowing up her phone. Rachel's threatening to crash the party if Emily keeps ghosting her. Adrian doesn't blink. He says, invite her over. He wants her to say all those opinions to his face instead of via text. Emily's shocked. He wants to meet the fam. Adrian's like, look, we're married. Let's get this over with. He's planning to go full charm mode and win them over instantly. He admits he's a criminal who bought her. But hey, he's a criminal in love. 3 days later, the sister and the mom show up like they're staging a full-blown intervention. Emily's a nervous wreck trying to explain this billionaire lifestyle. Rachel practically tackles her, shocked she's still alive and not buried in the backyard. Mom just looks totally exhausted. The family is heated. They're mad she ghosted them for a mystery man in a fortress. Mom's hitting her with the adults don't marry strangers logic, and Emily's standing her ground. Emily tries to de-escalate and leads them inside. Rachel's low-key blown away by the luxury, but Mom is still giving everything the major side eye. The interrogation is about to begin. Rachel jumps straight to the point. How did she end up with a mafia kingpin? Mom's terrified he's a killer, but Emily shuts it down. She's never felt safer than she does in this house. That is not even a real response. Emily locks eyes with her mother. Look, I am safe. Adrian would never lay a finger on me. How do you even know? You are practically strangers. I know him better than anyone I have ever met. The words hit harder than she expected. I know he has been backstabbed by everyone he trusted. He works himself into the ground because he thinks being hurt is a weakness. He rereads the same books when his stress levels redline. He is terrified of catching feelings because everyone he ever loved walked out on him. And most importantly, he loves me. For real, not for my utility or my image, just for being me. Rachel and their mother trade worried glances. Then Rachel drops the hammer. You are actually in love with this guy. Yes. After only 4 months. 100%. Emily, that is. Rachel pauses, searching for the right words. That is moving at light speed. It is real, and I need you guys to back me up. How? You ghosted us and got hitched in secret. You vanished into his world without a single warning. For all we know, he is playing mind games and you are totally blind to it. He is not some master manipulator. Then why the rush? What are you hiding from us? Emily looks at her family and realizes it is game over. She can keep up the charade or drop the ultimate truth bomb and pray they understand. The man offered me $5 million, Emily whispers, to play the part of his wife for 1 year after his real bride ditched him at the altar. The silence in the room is absolutely deafening. Rachel goes from shock to realization to pure pity. Their mother just looks like she is gonna pass out. You sold yourself, her mother finally stutters. You auctioned yourself off to a criminal for cash. I signed a business deal that turned into a real romance. Same thing, Emily. Do not kid yourself. No, it is not, and you know it. Emily stands up and starts pacing. I spent my whole life being a ghost. The daughter no one noticed, the friend who never got invited, the girl guys left because I was boring. Then Adrian entered the picture. He did not care about what I could be. He saw the real me and decided I was more than enough. So yeah, it started as a transaction, but it evolved into something legitimate, and I am not apologizing for that. You are apologizing for being a paid actor in a mobster's house, Rachel snaps back. That is totally different. Is it really? Because from my seat, you married a hedge fund guy for his 6-figure salary and because Dad gave him the thumbs up. How is that any different from my move? Rachel's face turns bright red. That is a low blow. It is the truth. We all make moves based on our needs. I needed safety. Adrian needed a spouse. We found a hack that worked for both of us, and we accidentally fell for each other along the way. Cute story, their mother scoffs. But what happens when the clock runs out? When the contract ends and you realize your whole life is a lie? The paperwork does not matter. We are staying together for good. Who told you that, Adrian? Yes. And you actually believe him? Emily wheels around to face them. Yes, because he shows me with his actions every single day. He defends me. He respects my brain. He lets me see him when he is falling apart. That is not a scam. That is real trust. Rachel walks over to her. Look, guys like Adrian Volkov do not just change their stripes. They do not suddenly turn into saints just because they caught feelings. They just get better at masking the darkness. You do not know the first thing about him. And neither do you, not really. You only know the highlight reel he shows you. Before Emily can fire back, Adrian's voice cuts through the tension like a knife. She is not wrong. Everyone freezes. Adrian is parked in the doorway, totally stone-faced. No one knows how long he has been eavesdropping. You are right, Adrian repeats, rolling into the center of the drama. Emily does not know the half of it. The things I have done, the lives I have wrecked to build my empire, it would probably make her sick. He stops right in front of Rachel. But I am putting in the work. I am trying to be someone who actually deserves her. Maybe I will fail. Maybe I will go back to being the monster everyone expects. But I am gonna try anyway because she makes me want to be better. Rachel just stares. What a moving speech! It is the truth, even if it means 0 to you. But it means everything to her, and she is the only person whose opinion I give a damn about. Fine. Prove it, Rachel challenges him. Tell me one thing you have done that would absolutely horrify her. Be honest for once. Adrian looks at Emily for permission. She gives him a small nod. They are in this together. 6 years ago, a partner tried to rob me, Adrian begins. A business associate thought I was blind. I noticed everything, and I made sure my whole crew saw the price of betrayal. I had him beaten so badly he was in the hospital for 3 whole weeks. Then I systematically deleted his life, took his company, his home, his name. By the time I was finished, he had nothing. I felt totally justified. He takes a breath. The man ended his own life a year later. I told myself it was not on me that he made his bed. But the truth is, I crushed him. And honestly, I would probably do it again if someone crossed me today. That is my nature. I do not do forgiveness. I do not do mercy. The room goes ice cold. Emily feels a pit in her stomach, but she is not shocked. She knew his world was a bloodbath. Hearing the details just makes the reality impossible to dodge. That is psychopathic, their mother whispers. Yes, it is. Adrian does not blink. There are dozens of stories just like that. I am a bad guy who does bad things, but I am trying to change for her. It is probably not enough, but it is all I have got. Rachel turns back to Emily. And you are seriously cool with this? Emily considers lying for a second, but she has to be real. I am definitely not cool with it, she says softly. I hate the violence. I hate that he thinks destruction is the only answer. But I also know he is trying to go legit, to use his power for something else. And I believe people can change if someone actually gives a damn enough to hold them to a higher standard. She moves to his side, standing tall by his wheelchair. I am not okay with his past, but I am all in on helping him build a different future. You are being delusional, Rachel says. Maybe, but it is my life, and I am making the choice with my eyes wide open. Their mother stands up. We are leaving. Mom, wait. No, Emily, I cannot get behind this. I cannot sit back and watch you throw your future away on a man who thinks cash and violence solve everything. She glares at Adrian. If you actually care about my daughter, you will let her go. Let her have a normal life with someone who is not whatever you are. You are right, Adrian says quietly. She deserves a saint. But I am selfish enough to keep her anyway because she is the only light I have left. Emily's mom just shakes her head and bolts. Rachel lingers for a beat, looking at the two of them. I hope you have a plan, Em, because if he breaks you, I have no idea how to put the pieces back together. I have got this, Emily says, even if her heart is racing. Rachel finally leaves, and the house goes silent. Well, that was a total train wreck, Adrian says dryly. Emily sits on the arm of his chair. You did not have to go full villain mode with the partner story. Yes, I did. They needed to see the real me, not some mask. I do not want to lie to you anymore. He takes her hand in his. Are you doing okay? After that, ask me tomorrow when my brain stops spinning. Fair point. They sit there for a while, just breathing. Then Emily speaks up. My mom was right, you know. I definitely deserve better than a mob boss. I know you do. But I am picking you anyway because better is boring. And you are a lot of things, Adrian, but you are never boring. Adrian pulls her down onto his lap. You are absolutely insane. Probably. But we match. I am your specific brand of crazy. We really do not match, Emily. You are actually a good person. Well, you are good enough for me, and that is the only metric that matters. Adrian leans in and kisses her, slow and deep, like he never wants to let go. When they pull apart, he warns her. I am going to screw this up. You know that, right? I am going to do something dark, and you are going to wonder why the hell you stayed. Probably. And I am going to drive you up the wall with my need for feelings and talking about things you hate. But we will figure it out as we go. You are pretty upbeat for someone who just found out her husband ruined a guy's life. I am an optimist who fell for a mafia kingpin. It is kind of my brand now. Adrian actually laughs at that. You are ridiculous. You have mentioned that like 10 times today, because it keeps being true. They stay wrapped up in each other until the sun goes down and Irina comes to call them for dinner. They head to the dining room as a team, ready for whatever drama comes next. But 3 months later, the past catches up. Someone leaks the whole story to the press. The $5 million contract, the fake marriage, everything. The secret is out. Look, guys, a bombshell article just dropped with enough receipts to sink a battleship. Emily's scrolling during breakfast when her heart hits her toes. She hands the phone to Adrian, and his face goes from 0 to lethal in 2 seconds flat. He knows it's Scarlet. Only that snake would frame him as a monster who literally bought a wife. Adrian realizes he slept on the threat. He calls for Marcus because it's time for some high-stakes damage control before they lose everything. Marcus teleports in, ready to go legal, but Adrian shuts that down. Suing is exactly what that clout chaser wants. Instead, they're going live. It's time to control the narrative before the internet eats them alive with these fake rumors. The plan? Tell the truth. They're gonna admit the marriage was a total business transaction that turned into a legit romance. Emily isn't folding. She tells him she's sticking through the chaos and won't leave him because of some viral hit piece. Adrian warns her she's gonna get cooked by the public, labeled a gold digger or a victim. Neither is fair, but that's the internet. Emily isn't having it. She's ready to drop the real tea. That afternoon, they face the cameras together. Marcus pulls strings to get the biggest vultures in the room. Emily's rocking a confident navy dress, while Adrian looks like a straight-up final boss in his suit. Together, they face the flashbulbs. Adrian speaks first, voice steady as he drops the truth. He admits he hired Emily as a replacement bride after his last breakup went south. It was all cold, hard business, but then the vibe shifts. He looks at her and she steps up, her voice surprisingly steady, ready to reveal the twist. She drops the hammer. They actually caught feelings. No contracts, no negotiations, just raw, messy love. The press goes feral, shouting about coercion and payouts, but Emily stays icy. She shuts down every single accusation like a pro without breaking a sweat. She owns the cash and the initial 1-year deal. But then she looks them in the eyes and says she stayed for love. Why? Because the guy actually sees her. He treats her like she's his whole world, and she wouldn't trade it. Adrian doubles down, admitting he's a villain in the boardroom. But Emily makes him want to be a better man. He tells the cameras that whatever they think, their bond is real. Basically, if you want a piece of them, you better move. The presser ends, and Emily finally breathes. The internet is split. Half think it's goals, others call cap. Her phone is a literal war zone of messages from people she hasn't heard from in years, all wanting a piece of the drama. Everyone's got an opinion, but she's muting the world. Only Rachel gets through, calling her the good kind of crazy. Back at the mansion, Adrian admits they just put a massive target on their backs by being honest with the public. But they're doing it together, and that's the flex. Admitting the truth stripped Scarlett of her leverage. No more secrets. Adrian gives her a kiss and promises they're going to be fine because they have nothing left to hide from the world. The fallout is brutal for weeks. Paps camp outside while rivals try to use the scandal as leverage. Everyone thinks they're entitled to judge their marriage. But they weather the storm together, and eventually the gossip goes stale and the haters move on. Fast forward 6 months and we get the biggest payoff yet. Adrian is at physical therapy when the impossible happens. After over 2 years in a chair, the boss is actually trying to stand up for the very first time. Emily's reading when things get serious. James tells Adrian it's go time. He's gripping those parallel bars with an intensity that's frankly terrifying. He's scared he'll fail, but James tells him to just trust the process and give it everything. On 3, he pulls. It's an absolute grind, but he finally straightens out. His legs don't buckle, he's actually standing. The noise he makes is half laugh, half sob. It's pure victory and relief mixed into one moment of total triumph. He only lasts 10 seconds before his legs give out, but he's beaming wider than ever. He looks at Emily, asking if she saw that miracle. She's a sobbing mess, telling him those 10 seconds were everything they needed to see. After that, his progress goes into overdrive. 10 seconds turns into 60, then actual steps with support. 3 months later, Adrian walks across the room solo, 11 steps before he sits. It's proof that anything is possible if you want it badly enough. Driving home, Emily tells him she's proud. He tries to downplay it as just walking, but she reminds him he's officially stronger than the accident. He's rebuilt himself into a man who can overcome anything, and that is what matters. Adrian gets sentimental, saying he would have quit without her. She made the fight worth it. That night, the boss stops playing around. He tells her it's time to move into his master suite properly. His room, his bed, his whole life. He's done with the slow approach after 18 months. He wants to wake up next to her every single day. No more separate lives or pretending they aren't obsessed. He wants her completely tangled up in his world permanently. Emily's all in. Moving her life takes no time because she only cares about her books, clothes, and her dad's photo. A couple of boxes later, she's ready to occupy the space that actually feels like home for the first time. His room is dark and peak boss energy, but she starts redesigning immediately. She's flipping his whole aesthetic, and instead of being mad, he just watches her reorganize his entire life with an expression of pure, unadulterated contentment. He asks if he gets to keep any of his stuff where it was. She hits him with the truth. His organization is trash. He tries to pull the crime boss card, but she's like, "You can't even find your glasses without me." He drags her onto the bed, saying he doesn't need glasses if he's got her. It's his sneaky way of making sure she can never leave him. He makes her promise she's staying forever, and she seals that deal right there. They stay in, eating takeout and watching movies they aren't even paying attention to. It's that ordinary perfection Emily's wanted her whole life. Around midnight, he drops the "I love you," and she smiles, telling him she's known it all along. Adrian likes hearing it, so she promises him another 50 years of saying it every single day. He's stunned by the long-term plan, but Emily's like, "Is that cool?" He tells her she can plan whatever she wants because he's never leaving. So the big boss is acting like a total tsundere, saying it would be inconvenient if she left. Talk about a cold-blooded romantic. 1 year later, their anniversary hits, and the Dawn is just staring at her like she is a literal mystery box. Then he drops the bomb. The contract is dead, and she is officially free to walk. Emily's heart skips a beat, but she's not going anywhere. She shuts down his You do not owe me speech with a kiss. Exit denied. The business deal is over, and Adrian wants a redo wedding. No fake crowds or mafia strategy this time, just the inner circle and pure vibes. He is finally choosing love over the grind, and the waterworks are starting. He admits he was just playing the tough guy role to avoid looking weak. Now he is asking for real. Will she marry the boss knowing all the chaos that comes with it? She gives him an obvious yes before he can even finish. Fast forward 2 months to the ultimate garden ceremony. No stress, just the ride. Or dies, like Rachel, Marcus, and James. Even the priest looks relieved he is not at a mob hit. Emily finally gets her own white dress. No hand-me-downs. Get this, Adrian is actually standing at the altar with just a cane. He is shaking from the effort, but he wanted to stand tall for his queen. He calls her beautiful, and the ceremony is short, sweet, and totally real. 0 performance, 0 drama, just 2 souls who survived the storm together. When the priest asks if she is in, Emily does not hesitate. They both say, "I do." And suddenly they are husband and wife for the second time. The party is lit. Even the skeptical bestie Rachel has to admit she was wrong about the Don. He is officially whipped, and it feels like a fresh start instead of some desperate mafia arrangement. Rachel realizes the boss looks at Emily like she is his oxygen. Major character development right here. She is glad Emily ignored her warnings. Now Emily is back at the table with her man, enjoying the win. Adrian is wiped out from standing, but he is still a gentleman, kissing her knuckles. He thanks her for staying and believing in him when he was at his lowest. He is literally trying to be a better man for her. He says he does not deserve her, but she is not hearing it. As the night cools down, they are the only ones left in the garden. He wants one dance, even though he is running on fumes. It is not some graceful ballroom dance. He is leaning on her, and they are barely moving. But it is their moment. Who cares about the struggle when you are swaying with your person under the stars? He drops the L word again, promising to spend forever proving she made the right choice. Emily is like, "Bro, you already did." They are finally in sync, and it is honestly wholesome. They head inside to a house that finally feels like a home. Next morning, the boss is still staring at her like she is the best thing that ever happened to him. "Good morning, Mrs. Volkov." Iconic. They decide to just have a normal day. Imagine a mafia don doing breakfast and a slow garden walk with a cane. He is totally domesticated, and honestly, we are here for it. Library dates and home-cooked meals. Emily is living the life she thought was impossible. She went from being an invisible wedding planner to the most valued person in the Volkov empire. She actually thanks him for being desperate enough to hire her that first day. Talk about a life-changing, help-wanted ad. Adrian gets quiet, probably thinking about how close he came to missing out. He calls it the best move he ever made. It does not matter if it started for the wrong reasons, as long as the ending is this perfect. Emily falls asleep to the sound of his steady heartbeat. This messy, imperfect love was worth every single risk. It is not about being the first choice. It is about being the everyday choice through the chaos and the calm. They are choosing each other for life. They are still choosing each other, and they are not stopping. It is not a basic fairy tale. It is something better, something earned. The mafia boss and his queen, mission accomplished. That is more than enough